protests calling to reform policing, which shows how what burst forth after the killing of George Floyd is still growing. Now, some Americans say they're newly more aware of the depth of police brutality and systemic racism, issues that black leaders and artists have highlighted for decades, as we've reported on The Beat. Anyone willing to listen could learn about lynching. Let's take a look at this. Here was Billie Holiday. Remember that? We'll look at this in full. She was singing in Strange Fruit about lynching. Or you could learn about police brutality from Tupac to KRS-One to Ice Cube of NWA. They confronted police brutality and racism decades ago. NWA's anthem, F the Police, got America's attention. At the time, some assumed it was demonizing just any police officer. But if you listen, Ice Cube's opening verse singles out police harassment of brown people, noting officers think they have the authority to kill a minority. That album was also a hit at the time, going platinum, while inspiring that recent movie Straight Outta Compton. Some of these arguments have aged well. More Americans, more receptive to these points. And so for the artists alive to see the change, you ever wonder how they feel? After living through years of attacks by everyone from corporations to critics to the FBI, even presidents, only to now see some more Americans waking up to why there are such tensions with police. Well, we get to find out right now because Ice Cube is here, of NWA and several hit movies and solo albums and a documentary and a clothing line. And you're making waves right now, launching a specific policy proposal for justice and police reform, a contract for Black America. Ice Cube, thanks for coming on The Beat.
Yo, what's up, Ari? How you doing?
What's up? I'm okay. Thanks for asking. I got a lot to get to with you, but let's start with your new thing. You're pushing this policy contract, and it's big. It's not just about police. Why?
Well, I think we need a broad change. You know, getting these little changes. If you change police reform, which is good, you'll have abuses in the judicial system. You'll have abuses in the prison system. So you have to try to change them all across the board if you can, and try to have a broad thing to happen and not just little things that will, make racism pop out in other ways. So this is something that's, it's a growing document. I'm trying to perfect it. We want to get the best minds and people and people who really do this. I'm not a legislator, so people that really do this, we want them to jump in and see if we can do something big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not a legislator, but as I mentioned, a lot of artists and a lot of black leaders have been, frankly, ahead of this, whether it's the point of conflict and violence with the police or your document goes into reparations, economics, the presentation specifically of black people in our world, whether that's news media over here or entertainment media. So I think it's a fascinating document. I want to get into more with it. I also, because this is the news and everybody gets the questions, I wanted to give you a chance to address this controversy around you as well. As you know, we'll show one of the headlines that was reporting or alleging that you've been sharing, quote, anti-Semitic images or theories. We could show one example of one that went up that people did take that way. I wanted to give you the chance to address that. What do you say to people who look at things like this and think that while you're calling for civil rights, that allegedly you're also sharing this kind of material?
Well, I looked at that picture, and the picture, pains me just as much as it pains the Jewish community. I've seen real pictures of people who are used as furniture. I have an example here of people who are being used as furniture. I hope you can see that, but he's actually sitting on a black kid. And I have another one of, these images here are the images that haunt me at night. So, I know the picture is painful for other people for other reasons. I didn't know the history of that picture when I put it up. I just saw the people at the bottom, and it really pained me. And I understand that now it's supposed to be a caricature of other communities. But in my eyes, I see a bunch of rich guys sitting around the table, and the table was made of black people, and it just pained me, and I posted the images. But the images were not meant. Yes.
Well, I was going to ask you, to be clear, because this is swirling around this, you don't look at it as you intended to say something about a particular religion. And for people, I count myself, and I'm an Ice Cube fan. For people who are thinking, wait, is he trying to say something about Jews? Your response is what?
Not at all. I'm just saying something about, there's a rich power structure and there's poor people at the bottom. Now, if I would have drew the picture, I would have put all kind of nationalities at the table, because I believe, there's rich people all over the world taking advantage of poor people. So, I didn't see any, when I saw the picture, any images that made me think, okay, these are supposed to be Jewish men sitting around the table. That never occurred to me. What occurred to me was that, it was pretty much a rich, poor thing. And so I understand, people are very, I guess, emotional about art. And it's really, I would just say art is really in the eye of the beholder. And two people can look at the same picture and get two different things out of it. Right. And I just hope people understand, because I believe, Ari, just to let me finish, that I'm getting caught in a wake of other celebrities. And if you just look at me as an individual, you will see that I'm far from anti-Semitic. Right.
Well, look, I wanted to let you address that. On the policing matter, it's fascinating. I wanted to get you on this. We've actually been reporting on this for some time on the beat. And as you know, in some ways there's progress, and in some other ways we're back where we started, because the Attorney General of the United States is saying people who want officers to stop killing innocent people are demonizing the police. And we're reporting on the evidence, no, they just want the killings to stop. And you had F the police, which, as I mentioned, people thought, oh, that was just the idea of there being police or firefighters. But there's a lot of evidence, no, it was all about racism. For our viewers and for your response, let's look back at what you were saying in that aggressive anthem. Here we go.
A young got it bad 'cause I'm brown and not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. With me.
What do you say now, whether it's to Attorney General Barr or your critics over the years, about a song that, frankly, was ahead of America's awareness of this alleged racial profiling?
Yeah, as an artist, we've always tried to, warn the people what was going on through music. A lot of people called the music violence, but the music was really understanding. We were trying to help America understand how we were feeling in the community, that, we could take it no longer. And progress was made. Before that song, police could do no wrong. After that song, you have the Rodney King incident. Now police are on trial. They're being questioned. Now people are understanding that, we got to look at this thing from both ways. And you can't just demonize a community for trying to fight back from excessive force. I also released a song called Good Cop, Bad Cop, which was a song that really was protesting and really begging good cops to stand up for the community and stand up for the people in the community and get some of these bad apples out your bunch. And so these things, when they go unheard or they go, people just take them as songs, then you have real people in the streets and a real explosion that we were trying to prevent.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, particularly the texture you bring, because that goes full circle from what the art was trying to tell us about what's happening in the community to the response to then what you're doing today, actually getting into the policy. As I think you know, Ice Cube, because we talked about it in advance, we really like to get everybody to the table for bigger conversations. We learn more when we listen to more people. So I'm thrilled that you're willing to stick around as we bring in one of our experts, the presidential historian, Jon Meacham. He's the author of, among other books, Songs of America, Patriotism, Protest, and the Music That Made a Nation. To quote Ice Cube, what's up, John?
All is well here. Ice Cube is in that book for that song. And just to be clear, so there's not any problem. As you all talk, my mind went back to Marian Anderson. In 1939, she sang in front of the Lincoln Memorial. Eleanor Roosevelt resigned from the Daughters of the American Revolution because the Daughters of the American Revolution refused to let Marian Anderson sing at Constitution Hall near the White House. And the image of this African-American woman, this amazing singer, world-renowned, was one of the first popular images in the 20th century of the kind of desegregation, the kind of journey that Dr. King would be so much a part of in 1963 when Marian Anderson came back to sing again there. Also think about Nina Simone, who wrote Mississippi Goddam the morning or the afternoon after she heard about the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church. And you have this in Billie Holiday and Strange Fruit, as you said. I mean, it's just music has fundamentally both reflected who we want to be, but it's also shaped who we want to be. And the idea that art is not political is crazy.
Yeah. Well, I love the examples you give and this intersection. And so this is the next thing I want to play for both of you. We're going to play it for Ice Cube, get his response, and then, John, your historic perspective, because we've covered a lot of how the establishment, which some people would call at times white America, was really united and bipartisan in its response, whether that was to NWA or to a lot of other artists you just mentioned. So we have this together. Ice Cube, take a look. This is politicians responding to a range of rap music, including that was critical of the police. Take a look.
A line has been crossed, not just of taste, but of human dignity and decency.
The kind of hatred that you do not honor today.
Songs about killing policemen and rejecting law.
If you took the words white and black and you reversed them, you might think David Duke was giving that speech.
The last line, an attack on Sister Souljah, who also had criticized police brutality. And as I often say, Ice Cube, it's not to endorse everything in every song or in every political platform, but I'm curious now, today, what you think looking back at that.
Well, it's to be expected, from people who want to keep the status quo to not, want to hear music that pushes the envelope. Sometimes rap music, what I love about rap music is, it does deal with the good, the bad, and the ugly of our society. And so, to me, it was, they were doing what they were supposed to do, but musicians and artists, we're doing what we're supposed to do too, which is to take the temperature of the country and hopefully help us understand each other better, and hopefully we'll see a better future. But thank God for the artists who, have the courage to speak truth to power or just tell it like it is.
John?
Well, one of Dr. King's favorite quotations was adopted from Theodore Parker, who was an abolitionist minister in New England in the 19th century. And Dr. King formulated it as, the arc of a moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And a lot of folks who look like me have used that as a kind of comforting, easy listening argument that, what, if we just go along, it'll all kind of work out in the end. If you look like me, things have always worked out, right? I mean, I'm a Southern white male Episcopalian. I haven't had a great deal of strife in my life. But one of the things that history tells us, the history that's unfolding today, I'm not talking about frock coats and powdered wigs, but the history at Black Lives Matter Plaza, the history that John Lewis represented as he begins his final journey home. is that line, that arc will not bend unless there are people who insist that it swerve. And artists are in a particularly strong position culturally to insist that it swerve. And then we work it out. That's what a republic is. That's what free government is. But I think to expect one person, one entity to have all the answers and a solution on how to get there legislatively and fix it all up by Tuesday is unreasonable. This is a dialectic. It's a conversation. I would say it's a symphony, but there has to be a lot of cacophony too.
Well, hold on, John. You had me up in there. Is it a symphony though, or is it the Endless American remix? Well,
I'm going to defer to you and Mr. Cube. On
Mr.
that.
Cube, we're over on time. I give Mr. Cube the last word. I think of a remix because I think hip-hop, like jazz, samples everything that's come before it, but then still takes us forward.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with taking what's good and making it new. And I think that's what we need to do with America. Most artists, real quick, they want harmony. No matter how hardcore they are, they would love harmony. And so let's take what's good in America, let's remix it, and let's come out with something better.
Well, if Jon Meacham is the new feature on an Ice Cube remix, I'm here for it. Thank you both for the discussion. I hope you both come back.